Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to do a quick presentation about doing business in the Middle East. My name is Phillip Neighbour and my colleague here is Maurice de Jonghe. We both work for Playbox, and Playbox has been doing business in the Middle East for the past 15 years. So we started in the marketplace in a slow, gentle manner, working with a number of channels, gradually built this business up to where last year we set up our own entity. This year will be the first time that we've done our own trade show at CABSAT in our own right. We've always worked with the channels before. So what will happen now is Maurice will take you through selling into the Middle East.
The Middle East is not really a lot different from anywhere else, other than there's cultural differences and things like that. But for doing business in the Middle East, the obvious thing, plan your trip in advance. It's more important in the Middle East than maybe in Europe and places like that because of visas and, just travel restrictions and the general types of things that happen to you if you're doing business in the Middle East. Remember, it's a volatile area. You know what's going on in Syria at the moment. So if you are planning a trip to the Middle East, use the government.uk, the Foreign Office travel advice. It'll tell you whether it's safe to travel. It'll advise you on, things that are going on and the areas to avoid. So, they're the kind of important things for the Middle East. Excuse me. The other thing is be aware of local customs and traditions. In the Middle East, it's become more westernized in the last 20 years, but Arab people, they don't like big arm gestures. So, for us Western people, it's not so bad, but Americans like to throw their arms around a lot. And a lot of Arabs find that a little bit intimidating. So, be aware of the customs of the countries you're going to. And they're all different. Saudi's different from Dubai, and it's different from Kuwait because their level of customs vary from those countries. If you speak Arabic, it's an advantage, but French is actually their second language and not English, as a lot of people think. So if you're either Arab-speaking or French-speaking, it's a distinct advantage, and it helps bond you in those areas. The other thing, business is very personal in the Arab communities. So building good relationships is the key to starting your business. Get to know the customer, get to know them, build up relationships. And when they know you and like you, you'll find it's a much easier place to work in. I come back to the body language. Body language is important. It is in most countries, but even more so in the Arab world. Be aware of what those are. Like for men, sitting with your legs crossed, showing the soles of your feet, it's a sign of disgust. So and some of the more traditional Arabs will find that offensive because you're showing the soles of your feet, and that's dirty. So you're in a sense don't want to know you're dirty. So beware of those. Beware of the gestures in the countries you go to. Like most sales, the best way to communicate is face to face. Sit down in front of them, have proper discussions. Anything? Women, it's more acceptable these days, but it's tough for women. If you're blonde, it's even tougher. So, you dye your hair. If you go as a woman, dress appropriately, cover up. Some Arab, like the Emirates, if you go to Dubai, it's very westernized these days, and it's a lot more acceptable. But you find even in Dubai, every 4 or 5 years, suddenly the government throw up the current one is no single women under 30 unless you're married, and because they're closing down on their things. If you're going into Saudi Arabia, you're not allowed to drive. There's a lot of things that you can't do. So the Middle East can be quite restrictive for women. So be aware if you are going. Again, check with, talk to people ask people their experiences. But if you're in the what I call the more western parts of the Middle East, it's not too bad. There are a lot of women who go into those areas, but women are still second-class citizens in the Arab world. So if you're aware of it, you can deal with it. When it comes to selecting partners to do business with, be careful who you choose. Most Arab companies are multifunctional. If you're in broadcast, they sell broadcast, and then on the next floor they'll do road construction, and on the next floor they'll do hotels. So they sell it, so basically you go to them and say, "Can I sell your product?" And they say, "Yeah." So be careful when you're selecting, because they'll say yes to anything. Is the honest answer on that. Which comes into the don't be lulled into a false sense of security. They're friendly people, and they want to do business with you. That's the thing. It's a barter type philosophy. And as I said, they're many tiered. They're a particular large one that's in the Middle East that's been there for many years. They have I guess I can name them. They have a place called Salam Towers. It used to be Salam Media. It's now Media Group. So they have 2 floors of broadcast. They own a shopping mall. They do road construction, and you can get lulled into these different areas of their business. The other thing when dealing with Arab companies, I always find they have a short attention span, I guess is the way to describe it. You have to deviate. You can talk for a few minutes about business, and then you have to talk for a few minutes about, I don't know, football or the local weather. So you have to kind of vary your conversation, and they're often very vague and generalise over things. So it's a different process to dealing with. Say for Americans, you go to America, it's very dum. Business. With Arabs, it's very much, you talk a little bit about business, you talk a little bit about your home life or anything else. So they like to do that. The other thing is, be prepared that even when you've agreed something in the Middle East, it's never the final agreement until you've actually. I wouldn't even see when you've signed the contract. When the money's in your bank, then you know what it is. It's not unusual, and it's the barter culture of the Middle East. It's not unusual to start somewhere and end up coming down. I've had this discussion many times about discounts. It doesn't matter whether you give 5% discount or 95% discount. Whatever you give, that's just a start. There's always negotiation for more. So if you are negotiating and discounts is something you want to talk about, start low, because you're going to, and you'll have 3 or 4 discussions, and you'll go away and you'll think you've agreed something, and then a week later, yes, but I just need to do this, and if we can do this, I can do this today, and it's a never-ending cycle. The other thing with the Middle East is decisions take a lot longer than we're used to in Europe. I did a particular project with a large television station in the Middle East, and it took me 3 years from the first negotiations to them actually placing an order. So a year is quite, a reasonable amount of time. I'll kind of go on to the decisions bit. It's with payments in the Middle East as well. Be aware with payments. It's a common factor that which is why you deal with Middle East and the middle person, is the end user will quite often not pay for a year, and that for the Middle East companies that's acceptable. They know that's going to happen. But if you're an English company and you're expected to get paid in 30 days, be aware of it. We've put Saudi Arabia definitely is the golden goose. It's one of the richest and biggest states, but it's also the most challenging. One, it's difficult to get into, and as the lady asked, it's difficult for women in Saudi Arabia because you're not allowed to drive. There's certain places you can't go. You know, there's certain people who won't talk to you. So it is a more challenging market. System integrators play a key role in the Middle East market, mainly because projects tend to be larger and more sought after. It's building relationships with system integrators is a key point to the Middle East. It's they're not loyal to any one manufacturer. If you're a manufacturer, they'll often deal with many companies, and you can do the same thing. You don't tie yourself to one system integrator or one dealer or distributor. It's a many-tiered type of structure. It also helps with TV companies in actually getting the document spec'd. If you can spec it before it starts, then it's a distinct advantage, because then obviously yours is the bit that fits the spec. If you're starting out in the Gulf region, it helps to have, you know, something to start with. Small, quick deals. You can see which companies are interested. You see which companies are interested in your type of business. So if you've got that, it's a good start for it. If you go into exhibitions, and that's always a good start for if you're first time into the Middle East. UK Trade and Investment are a good source of help in the Middle East. They have their own areas on exhibition stands, so you can be part of a UK Trade and Investment package. You know, they provide meeting facilities. They'll help you with local customs. They'll help you with local people, and they'll help you with grants. You get grants if you go through the UKTI. I think it's 3 times you're allowed to get a grant. One of the ladies here would tell you, but make use of the UKTI for if you're going to do exhibitions. And remember, if you do an exhibition, it's not like it is here even. They're more meet and greet type exhibitions. People do show equipment, but it's more important, you know, with people to bring them on, sit them down, have a coffee, and you might say, oh, we do this piece of equipment up here, but they're not really interested. It's the sitting down and the coffee and the general conversation that is more interesting. And it goes back to what we said earlier, is the personal relationship is much more important than who you are or who your company is. So develop the relationships, and the better you develop the relationships, the more business you will do. And that's kind of a quick overview and a quick really of what you need to do in the Middle East.